Calling the Cuyahoga County Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee to order for Tuesday, March 18th, Cuyahoga County Administrative Headquarters, C. Ellen Connolly Council Chambers, located on the fourth floor of the county building. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Sweeney?
Present.
Mr. Gallagher? Ms. Conwell? Ms. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Hauser? Mr. Hauser is absent at the moment. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment today?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has signed in.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the March 4th, 2025 meeting. Do I have one?
So move.
Thank you. We have a move and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We can move to the matters referred to committee. Madam Clerk, would you please call item number A?
Resolution 2025-0103, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Gina M. Vernacey to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for the term April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2028.
Thank you. Administration, please.
Good morning, Mr.
Director.
Chair. Chris Alvarado, on behalf of County Executive Chris Ronayne and pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 3381 and Section 6.04 of the Cuyahoga County Charter, I'm here to recommend the reappointment of Gina M. Vernacey to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for the term April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2028. Mr. Chair, we are requesting a second reading suspension.
Thank you. Can you tell us why she's not here?
Absolutely. So she was appointed to the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board per resolution number R2024-0217 just this past June. So that was on June 2024. She was appointed to fill an unexpired term. So given that she had just come before this committee, we're asking that she not have to be present to basically re-establish her bona fides for this committee.
Thank you. And this is for a full term?
Yes, sir.
So she got selected for a expired term, or not expired, filling a term that was vacant, and now she's asking to serve again.
That is correct.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues? Madam Vice President.
Through the chair, can you just, I know there's 5 members on the board. Can you list the other 4 names?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Conwell. One moment, please.
And if you have it readily available, there are terms that they have left to serve.
Absolutely. So there are currently 5 members on the committee: Leonard DeCosimo, Carolyn Eisenhart, Michelle Scott Taylor, Dan Blakemore, and Ms. Vernacey. Ms. Vernacey's term was expired this year. Next year, Mr. Blakemore and Ms. Scott Taylor, their terms will be up. And then the year after that, Mr. DeCosimo and Ms. Eisenhart's terms will be up. They each serve for 3-year terms.
Okay, I missed the 4th one. I got Gina, Leonard, Michelle, Karen, and who was the 5th?
Dan Blakemore.
Thank you.
And just for the committees, have them in their possession, just send us an email with all of them so we can keep them for our records.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none. May I have a motion to pass 2025-0103?
So,
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Let's move to the next order of business, letter B.
And let the record reflect that Mr. Hauser is now in attendance.
Thank you. Welcome.
Resolution 2025-0104, confirming the county executive's appointment of Mary Jo Tipping to serve on the Cuyahoga County Public Defender Commission for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
Thank you. Ms. Tippin, welcome.
My name is Mary Jo Tipping, and I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the chairman as well as the committee members. in giving me the time to address you this morning and for your consideration in appointing me to the Cuyahoga County Public Defenders Commission. Just a little bit about me. I am a criminal defense attorney. I am working on year number 34. I'm in private practice. We have our offices on East 9th Street. I'm in a firm by the name of Marine and Bradley. I am with, there's myself as well as 4 other attorneys in my office. I've been working pretty much exclusively in criminal defense since 1991. I do a considerable amount of court-appointed work. My work is primarily in Cuyahoga County. I've had the opportunity to work on various cases with other attorneys as well as with attorneys in the Cuyahoga County Public Defender's Office over the course of years. As I indicated, I do a lot of court-appointed work, so I feel like I am in tune with the needs of the indigent population in need of representation in Cuyahoga County. I've had the opportunity to work through a lot of cases where I do represent indigent individuals. So as I indicated, I feel like I have a good working knowledge of what their needs are and what I oftentimes need to ask the courts for to feel that I am representing them to the best of my ability. With respect to sitting on this commission, I do feel like I'm very diligent with respect to my work as far as representing my clients. I recognize that being on a commission like this is a commitment. I don't have a problem with committing my time to attend whatever meetings, to be up to date on whatever the issues are that I need to participate in as far as any carrying out any business with respect to being on the Public Defenders Commission. I'm, certainly willing to take the time, listen to others. This would be my first appointment on the commission, so I'm sure I have a lot to learn, but I feel like I'll be capable as far as carrying out any of my duties.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any questions from my colleagues?
Mr. Chair,
Madam Vice President.
just wanted to ask that we also have, it's 5 members as well. Can we have a list of all of those that are being appointed to this commission or have been appointed?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Conwell, yes, the 5 members are Thomas E. Shaughnessy and James McDowell. Both of those are appointed by the Common Pleas Court. The 3 members that are appointed by the county executive before you today is Ms. Tipping, and we're having Mr. Gordon Friedman requesting to reappoint him. Last year, we appointed Dr. Ronnie Dunn onto the board.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I got a couple for you.
Okay.
You come highly recommended by people that I respect a lot. So
Thank you.
you come validated. Calling you a seasoned veteran would be appropriate?
Probably.
Absolutely, because what you said beforehand. Compassionate heart?
Yes.
Easily bullied?
No.
Not at all.
No. No.
I don't see that at all from you.
Thank you.
Any conflict from serving the folks or representing the folks in the Public Defender's Office, and this is a question to the administration, with her being on the board to be able to do her job?
No, sir. In fact, the preference is to have respected and experienced defenders to serve onto the board.
And just hearing all the names of the 5 members that you're going to have the privilege of serving, that's an all-star team.
Yes. Yes, it
And
is.
I think it's going to help the public defender in regards to that brain trust, working with him to give the best representation to the folks that will fall into your responsibility.
Thank you. And just to address the concern that you, or if it was a concern that you raised, I really don't come with any agenda. I mean, I just thought it was good for the chairman and the committee to know that, I represent people out of a private office, but I do a lot of court-appointed work. And over the course of time, the high-level cases where 2 attorneys might be appointed, I have had opportunities to work with people from the Public Defender's Office. But as far as any conflict or any agenda, I would assure you that that doesn't exist.
I had no idea how you got agenda in your brain.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
just-
That was my words, not,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it's just my way of trying to make it easy on you.
Sure, thank you.
And make sure, in my own eyes, I should have done the homework beforehand. But sometimes when someone goes onto the boards, they're conflicted out from their regular jobs. I didn't think so,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to make the statement. And if anybody had the thought process that I had, now we have a clarity.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none? may I have-
Question?
Oh,
Through the chair?
yes.
Thank you. Good
Madam
morning.
Chairwoman?
Well, first, I would like to recognize that the County Public Defender is with us this morning. How are you, sir? Ms. Tipping, so I'm reading the responsibilities of the commission, contracting with municipal corporations, to provide legal representation for indigent persons, making an annual report to the county executive and Ohio Public Defender Commission regarding the operations of the office. And specifically, my question will be around the responsibility of recommending an annual budget for the office. We're going to be in a budget crunch soon, and we have to make some difficult decisions. Given you've already stated how important it is for persons, indigent persons, to have representation, would you fight for any budget reductions in this area to ensure that there is equity as it relates to this constituency group?
Fight for budget reductions, you're saying, with respect to the,
If there was a proposal to make said reductions in this area of service, would you fight to keep that in the budget, or?
well, I think I would, yeah, I mean, I think I would, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna try to listen to all sides or take a good look at it, but like I said, I do feel like from doing the work that I have a good idea of, particularly in some of the higher level, most serious cases, the need, you know, to be able to fund certain things like, you know, certain experts and things that you need to do to try to do the job right and representing people. To that extent, I would fight to be able to be sure that there was sufficient funding to cover the needs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. Any other questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion to move her appointment forward for confirmation?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? None? Thank you very much. Can you add my name to this one, if you don't mind?
And Turner.
Second reading, or no? Did you want?
We are requesting a second reading suspension.
So that's my bad. Is there a motion for a second reading suspension? All in
Thank you.
favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Your confirmation's going to go a little quicker now. The confirmation approved. Let's move to the next one.
Resolution 2025-0105, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Gordon Friedman to serve on the Cuyahoga County Public Defender Commission for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
Mr. Friedman, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Members of council, my name is Gordon Friedman. I am presently a retired lawyer. I'm an adjunct professor of law at Cleveland State University Law School, where I've taught since 1973, I think. I'm probably the elder on the commission. Notwithstanding that fact, my background is that after graduating from law school, I worked in the public defender's office for several years. Thereupon leaving the defender's office, I was the founding executive director of the Free Medical Clinic of Greater Cleveland. And from there, I went to Cleveland State Law School, then Cleveland Marshall, where I've taught criminal procedure and other areas of the law. I've been on the commission for a while. I seek to continue on it. Its representation of indigent defendants has been something that I've believed in from the very beginning as a young law student to being an advocate and a lawyer. I was in the law firm of Friedman and Gilbert, which became a law firm of Friedman, Gilbert, and Gerhardstein. I am no longer really associated with the firm, though they use my name. And for whatever reason, I don't know, but let them figure that one out. I really believe in public defender systems. I've been active in it from the state and federal levels. So I seek your reappointment. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Well, thank you for your service, and would it be appropriate to call you Attorney Extraordinaire Emeritus since you're retired?
Emeritus clearly works, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Other questions? Councilman, Chairman Hauser.
From the chair to Mr. Freeman, I was just wondering can you name some things you have accomplished in your previous tenure with the commission?
Well, selecting Cullen Sweeney as our public defender, and in past, Mark Stanton, fighting for increase in recognition of pay for the staff. I think Public Defender's Office has historically in this county been underfunded for expert witnesses and for payroll for staff attorneys. And it's an ongoing struggle, which we have to be committed to. Also in hiring other qualified, capable lawyers who believe in the mission of the Public Defender's Office.
Just a follow-up question. It's going to be my last one. Do you have any insight how the commission can help with systematic issues like underfunding or even case backlog?
We just have to be advocates. I don't have what the silver bullet is, but we have to keep making noise, wanting our lawyers to be absolutely well-funded so that they can represent people on an equal plane as to those people that have funds to hire lawyers, getting experts, getting witnesses, having investigators. We always struggle to maintain equality with our clients.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Michael, or excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Friedman, I've had the pleasure of witnessing you ply your trade.
Oh, really?
Going back to the 80s at the appeals court.
Oh.
So back when we were both young men. But
I'm into that.
You're a bit of a legend, quite honestly, and that's probably why they use your name. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Well, anybody else? Mr. Alvarado has something to say.
Mr. Chair, we are requesting a second reading suspension of the rules for the renomination of Mr. Friedman.
I move that we move this to the full body of council for consideration under second reading suspension.
We have a motion for second reading. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
One
Thanks.
step closer to being
Sorry?
approved by, one step closer to being approved by the entire council.
Great. Thank you all.
Can you add my name to this one as well?
Turner.
Thank you.
Turner and Gallagher. Well, that was good. Number D, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2025-0106, confirming the county executive's appointment of Robert S. Chalupka to serve on the Commission on Human Rights for the term March 1st, 2025 through February 28th, 2027.
Mr. Chair,
Robert, take your time and
Mr. Chair, we are requesting a second reading suspension for this one as well, please.
tell us a little bit about why you selected him.
So, sure, certainly. So We've been very pleased to be able to reestablish the Human Rights Commission. It had been sitting fallow for quite some time. The importance of the commission is to be able to provide services, not just to folks throughout Cuyahoga County when it comes to addressing issues specifically around employment, any kind of concerns that citizens may have that their employment is either being terminated or is endangered as a result of sexual orientation or gender identity. This commission serves to be able to provide guidance, and it was very important for us to be able to have very active members of this commission to be able to spread the word about not just the existence of these particular resources for the citizens of Cuyahoga County, but then to also to be able to act as a administrative body to oversee these types of cases. Mr. Chalupka came to us very highly recommended.
Welcome again. Please.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're excited to be doing this.
Okay, sure, thank you. And, you know, as everybody has said so far, my name is Rob Chalupka. I am joining the club of everybody else here today. I am an attorney. I've been in practice in various capacities, about 24 years. Currently, I'm with the firm of Nicola Goodbranson and Cooper over in the Terminal Tower. My practice, most of the time, focuses on wills, trusts, estates, probate, that sort of thing. But to get to that point, I've had a fairly diverse career and dabbled in everything from international trade law to antitrust to civil rights to housing, actually. But about 7 years ago, when the ordinance creating this commission was being considered, I had the fortunate opportunity to step in kind of in the closing stages. I'm not going to hold myself out as like one of the original drafters or anything like that, but I was, to borrow a phrase from a musical, I was in the room where it happened. And I was able to offer a suggestion here and there. I testified before this body 3 or 4 times over the course of that, including, for those of you who were there that night, the 5.5-hour meeting where the ordinance was finally approved. And then helped the staff somewhat, in the first few months afterwards, like with some initial plans for intake forms and processes and procedures. And then, as Mr. Alvarado mentioned, it seemed like there was sort of a loss of momentum from there, and this was a great political achievement, but it hadn't had the opportunity to have any teeth and actually make a difference in real people's everyday lives. And so when I heard that this was an opportunity that was available, and that there was a chance to not just kind of passively sit back and wait for someone to bring a complaint, but also fulfill the other portion of the commission's charter to go out and, into the community, promote awareness of this ordinance and, just the general rights that people have, and also to focus on, while the administrative hearings would be heard, realistically, we would hear the ones under sexual orientation and gender identity, because race, religion, ancestry, that sort of thing would tend to be covered by state or federal law. We do still technically have jurisdiction over those if for some reason either a complainant did not want to go to those authorities or, excuse me, or if for some reason they refused to take the case. So realizing that I'm a strong believer in what got us to pass this ordinance in the first, or I should say, got this body to pass this ordinance in the first place. And I think that, having the chance to make that clear to the community is very important, and I would be very fortunate to have an opportunity to help with that. As well as, if and when any complaints did arise, I feel that I have the background and the skills to be able to, suss out the facts, figure out, what remedy we're able to provide, and take the appropriate actions from there.
Very good, very thorough. And I think your qualifications meet the needs of a kind of a overlooked and stagnant board, and it's going to get kick-started and start doing what we asked you to do. And under your leadership and your other teammates, we're in good hands.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any questions? Councilwoman, Madam Chairwoman.
Through the chair to Mr. Chalupa, are you familiar with any cases or anything that the Human Rights Commission has worked on thus far? Could you share that?
To my knowledge, and I just met with the staff last week, to my knowledge, there have been complaints filed, but none that have risen to the level of an actual hearing among the three commissioners. I think a lot of times it's those issues where the ordinance is written for, pretty much all of the protected classes that are in state and federal law. So there's a lot of overlap there, and those tend to get referred to the Ohio Civil Rights Commission or the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission or something like that. So to my knowledge, there haven't been actual hearings or cases in the past several years.
Do you think, through the chair, do you think there will be any changes on the federal level in terms of laws?
If the past few months have taught us anything, it's almost silly to try to predict what's going to happen next. I do feel strongly that it's good that there is that overlap, and I think that was part of the original design, not necessarily anticipating a change in enforcement priorities at other levels, but that Cuyahoga County is going to protect people based on all these classes. If somebody else also wants to do it, that's great. If, particularly at the federal level, possibly at the state level, that becomes less of a priority and maybe some of those resources are less available to people that need help and need some sort of redress, then I think this commission and hopefully myself and the other commissioners would be a great backstop for all that.
Okay, can you notify this committee if you should hear any changes like that?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chairman Gallagher.
How long has this been in force?
The ordinance was passed in 2018. I'm not sure of the official creation of the commission. It might have been later that year, early 2019.
I don't recall, but I do recall raising the questions at the time, and I probably didn't vote for this because you have no authority. There's no appeal based on whatever this commission would do. There's no enforcement part of this. And I predicted at the time, I said, even if someone did come to you, I don't know what you do with them. Other than kind of guide them through the process?
My understanding is, there's the initial stage of referring to mediation and that whole setup. And then if and when it would come to a hearing before the actual commissioners, you're right, we're not a fully judicial body. We can't issue an order that would be enforced by, the sheriff's office or something like that. That being said, and to be 100% honest, I do share some of those concerns. And if I'm lucky enough to be confirmed for this appointment, one of the things I want to talk with my fellow commissioners about is, it's been 7 or 8 years at this point. Is there an opportunity to revisit some of the bylaws, the text of the ordinance itself, something like that, to give it a little more teeth in the case that something would happen? Obviously, that would ultimately be a decision for you all. But it is a priority for me, should I have the opportunity to serve, to actually make this effective. Now, in the meantime, that community relations piece, that awareness piece of, the more not that, we're not looking to drive up traffic of people being discriminated against, but the more awareness that's out there, if that's happening, then perhaps we'll get more cases come in, more things happen, and we have the opportunity to see what we're able to do under the existing law.
Yeah, I mean, just, to me, it never made sense. Because you could have one party on one side making a complaint, and without the, the person that's being accused showing up and, and agreeing to being heard in a public forum with no appeal, no, there's nothing you can do other than mediate it. So I don't know why you just don't call it mediation. It seemed to be a flaw from the beginning that I think everybody recognized. And I think here, as we sit today, it still is something that clearly hasn't worked because there's not much there to work with, other than trying to guide people that might have a complaint to through the proper channels and the proper courts and organizations that would deal with that.
Sure, and I do believe that, again, if I have the opportunity to serve, I think in going into meeting with my fellow commissioners as well as the law department staff, I would make it a priority to, like I said, it's been 7 or 8 years, so we have this here, we know what has and hasn't happened, and I would make it a priority to assess, like, okay, how can we be more effective with what we have now? If we can't, what additional tools do we need? I don't think this isn't the kind of thing that needs some sort of like additional staff and budget and that sort of thing. It's all in terms of jurisdiction and procedures. So how can those be fine-tuned, knowing what lessons we've learned, what complaints have come in that may have been diverted elsewhere? How can we make this a more effective use of our time, of the county's resources, of the taxpayers' money, et cetera?
Yeah, I've asked the same question of everybody, and they're perplexed also.
Oh, I understand.
So,
Yeah,
again, at the time, my memory going back, it was quite a debate as to, what are we doing here?
Yeah, there were.
There is a purpose, but is there an end goal to that purpose? And really, there isn't.
Sure. Well, and since I've, become aware of this opportunity and let other people know, I've had plenty of people express the same opinion and just sort of like, okay, so was that just something they did to make a statement and then move, everybody moves on with their lives? And, I can't say what was in the hearts and minds of people at the time. I want to believe that people who voted for this ordinance were 100% in support of everything that it stated. But the reality since then has been, there not much has actually happened.
Right.
And without, trying to actually drum up cases, I think the best we can do is, if we can get more awareness, then we can get more inputs, then test the system a little better and see, is it really the kind of thing that you're describing that isn't working as designed? And if that's the case, then we can take a look at what tools can we use to fix that. But right now, we don't know, because there hasn't been that volume.
Well, I'll leave that to your commissioners to figure that out, because something has to be tweaked. I don't know what it is, but good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just working as designed. Sometimes the design's not that good. So we might have to tweak the design to get the outcome that my colleague's talking about, to make it as impactful as possible, as a thought for the board to ponder as well as ourselves.
Thank you. Yes, and I misspoke. I should have said working as intended. We know what the objective of the ordinance is, and it's just how can we actually make that happen?
But you need the tools of.
We need the tools to do
You need the tools, and legislatively, we can put some tools in.
Possibly, yes.
Mr. Chairman, Hauser.
I was just gonna, I guess, make a statement or to the chair, to the speaker. So I do remember this ordinance. I thought it was a good thing then. I think it's a good thing now. To my colleague's point, and if you are appointed to this commission, I would just challenge you to, let's find, even if it is directing people to the right resources, but with things going on at our, federal and local level around DEI and all the other things that we see in our current events. I think this commission is needed, and so I'm happy to see you guys are getting kind of, I guess, re-energized. And so, again, yeah, we need to figure out what you guys, even if you don't hold court, if you're just a resource center and you help people who have been discriminated against, whether it's in housing or whatever. And it sounds like you have the background to help do that. So I think there can be some wins here, and so just working together to see what those are.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Mr. Chairman, anybody else? Hearing no further questions, do I have a motion to move this forward?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? The ayes have it. Congratulations, and may we move to the next.
And Mr. Chair, can we clarify if that is for second reading suspension?
I did that poorly again. May I have a motion for second reading suspension?
Second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? This will move forward under second reading suspension. To our friends that just got appointed and move forward, you can leave because we're going to do regular business of the county, and we appreciate you staying here. And if you want to be riveted, you're more than welcome to. Letter E, please.
Resolution 2025-0112, making an award on requisition 14216 to Caremark PCS Health LLC in the amount not to exceed $123,742,902.80 for pharmacy benefit management services for county employees and their eligible dependents for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Director.
Good morning.
Dedicated staff that is to the right of you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chairman Sweeney and committee members. Sarah Nemasol, Director of Human Resources. On behalf of the department, this request is for our employee group health plans, associated prescription drug benefit service agreement with Caremark PCS Health, who we, refer to as CVS Caremark. It is our incumbent provider. I'm here today with our Director of HR Employee Benefits, Gloria Langford, as well as our Business Services Manager, Stephen Witt, and Kelsey Finucane from Oswald Companies. Go ahead, Gloria.
Welcome again,
Yes.
Manager.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Sweeney and committee members. Gloria Langford on behalf of the Department of Human Resources. And as background, the county is self-insured or self-funded for the prescription drug benefits, meaning in part that the county is 100% responsible for the funding and payment of all prescription drug claims. And as we know, we contract with a qualified pharmacy benefit manager company to provide services, including providing a pharmacy network, paying the prescription drug fills and refills upfront and related costs, then, of course, invoicing the county for reimbursement. And then, of course, the pharmacy benefit management company manages the working details of the prescription drug plan throughout the year, from day to day, month to month, and year to year. This contract includes the county's participation in a group purchasing consortium called Employers Health. Now, Employers Health is the company that negotiates the drug pricing discounts as part of group purchasing, and also ensures that the rebates that are earned in relationship to this agreement are returned to Cuyahoga County. It is projected that only about 1.4% of the contract costs will be paid to CVS Caremark or Caremark PCS Health LLC for the pharmacy benefit management services. And the other 98.6% of the contract costs will be reimbursing CVS Caremark for the cost of prescription drugs and related services. So there were 8 submissions received in response to the March 29th, 2024 RFP. And as we've talked about before when we came before the committee, this RFP was combined with medical plan administrator, stop loss insurance, as well as the prescription drug Benefits Services Company, both either together or separately. So out of the 8, 3 proposals were exclusively for pharmacy benefit management, and the other offers were in conjunction only with the provision of the medical plan. So you had to select that medical plan in order to take advantage of any of their prescription drug benefits offering. So the Human Resources staff and our county's benefits consultant company, Oswald, independently reviewed and scored the RFPs. And the scores concluded that Caremark PCS LLC did prevail over all other proposals, scoring the highest in all categories and overall. As disclosed, this contract will have retroactive implications as this is one of the more complex contracts that we receive, and it required quite a bit of back and forth with the law department before it was finalized. We respectfully request that the committee consider moving this item for consideration by council under second reading suspension of the rules.
Very thorough. Last time you were here was to pay them because it was a little bit behind. Now it's just to re-up them. Would that be accurate?
This is, yes, sir, this would be the new contract. This will cover our plan years 2025, 2026, and 2027.
And to the best of your teammates' ability, the payments will be on time and on schedule, and we won't have to deal with what we had to deal with last year? Or is it something that normally we have to catch up, just for, not to point fingers, just to understand?
So we were over budget with the prescription drug benefits, taking into consideration medical inflation. The contract was negotiated when medical inflation was about 6.8%, and there was a 5% buffer. We've included a 10% buffer on the contract this year, with medical inflation on prescription drugs being about 9.9%.
So we're going to give it our best effort in talking with our partners at Oswald.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Perfect. Any questions from my colleagues? Madam Vice President?
Through the chair to Ms. Langford, and that was kind of some of my questioning. In the past, I know the prescription costs have been rising. So has it stabilized, or now that you stated that we put in a buffer, can you explain that a little bit?
So the contract, we did attach an additional 10% buffer to take in consideration that there may be an override. You know, we may have to go over the projected costs. The last contract contained, I believe, a 5% buffer. Medical inflation 5 years ago ran about 6.8%. The rate now, last year was 9.8% and is projected for 2025 to be 9.9%. So it's leveling off a little bit, but it has increased, and we expect that medical inflation on prescription drugs will continue to increase.
And do you know what the cost differential from the last contract for the pharmaceuticals was?
In dollars and cents?
Yeah.
I'm going to have Stephen come up. He has those figures. Stephen is our budget person.
Stephen Witt, Business Service Manager for HR. So the previous contract, including the purchase order that we brought in to make the final payments for 2024, was approximately $85 million in change. So this agreement is for 123 and change. And I should clarify that 10% buffer is on top of the projected medical inflation year to year. So that 10% is there in case the inflation year over year is above that 9.8% that is currently the standard in the industry.
So the 10 million is kind of like baked in?
It is there in case there are something. For example, we had, a couple of years ago, we had Ozempic become a large medical drug that everybody wanted. It is extremely expensive, and we can put price controls on it once we're aware of something like that happening. But if you can't project something like that coming up out of the woodwork.
So I guess final question. So say we put the 10 million buffer in and we don't use it. So what happens with that money? It just goes back
It just stays within the self-insurance fund.
We don't take it back out and put it in the,
No, the way the self-insurance fund is funded is it's funded through a composite rate charged to each department as well as employee deductions.
thank you.
And there's no way it can be taken out of the insurance fund and put back in the general fund without legislative approval.
My understanding is the way that it's, we've handled that in the past when the self-insurance fund grew to a large amount, is they did a employee benefits holiday where the county covered employee deductions.
Did you need legislative approval for that?
That occurred prior to me being in HR, so I would not know.
To the director, and not, you don't have to, just, I'd like to get a more concrete answer in the future regarding this particular topic of funds that are in the insurance fund and how they can be determined to be spent other than on prescriptions, and also how the prescription fund could be moved to the general fund or any other fund.
So
Please.
I can speak a little bit to that,
Thank you.
Chairman Sweeney. With regard to when you're self-insured and you have reserves, those reserves are protected to be spent only on the medical plan, on your self-insured medical plans and such. So the legislation, I don't believe there would be, but, you know, we will get the legal people to give a definitive answer to back up what I'm articulating, but I believe that the general fund would not be able to secure funds out of the reserves, because when you have a self-insured plan, you have to protect the reserves, and under certain laws, they have to be reserved for the payment of the medical plans.
Thank you. And just making sure, because we weren't always self-insured. And then when we became self-insured, there was legislative authority that needed to work in concert with the administration. And I don't know every word of that piece of legislation, but I wouldn't mind reading that it says these funds cannot be transferred out of the of the insurance fund into the general fund, and I wouldn't mind reading those couple of words. So
That is correct, and that's pretty much, that's kind of industry trend for self-insured plans. When you have reserves, that is pretty much that's your agreement when you have a self-insurance plan, that you will keep those reserves dedicated to the payment of your claims.
And I appreciate the industry standard, but
Yes, I understand, just.
I'm really focused on the Cuyahoga County
More,
Council.
yeah, more generally, broadly speaking.
And this is not your subject matter under you, so I'm not pushing you, and you're giving me wonderful information, but sometimes words really talking about legislation.
We will get the specifics from our law department and make sure that you get that information back in your hands.
You're awesome. Thank you. Madam Vice
So
President?
to follow up on that, through the chair to Ms. Langford or to Director Nimmelstill, so it's probably that we can't take out anything once it's into the self-assured fund, but if, when we're presented in budget in terms of putting money into, maybe that's when we need to have a clear, a clear determination, so we're not, because we need money for other things, you know what I'm saying?
Understood,
So
yes.
I just want to say that to the director, when it comes to budget hearings, let's know if there's a reserve already in the self-assured fund, then maybe we need to be alerted to that, so we're not putting more money into that. So if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sometimes administrations like to put a little super stash someplace else they can get it, but our job is to make sure that we are observant to all things with the finances of Cuyahoga County.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? I have a couple. Just, when you say group,
Yes.
group.
That is, our group is our employee base.
Yeah,
So
it's not a group of other counties to get the super mega discount. It's
that's
just-
correct. That is the term that refers to an employer's plan. An employer plan is a group plan.
Got it. Two more. With all the CVS's closing but still available, what impact did that have on our consumer base or employees to be able to go get them. That some have to travel, this can get back to me, some, you know, they used to travel a half a mile, now they got to go 3 miles, and
We haven't had many complaints about the CVS closings. When the Rite Aids closed, you know, and folks had to then, you know, find other prescriptions, but that was not for the CVS plan because we had gone to the narrow network. That was more or less the other medical plan where we have, one of our plans has prescription drugs through the medical plan. So the Rite Aid closings had an impact. We haven't had many complaints about the CVS closings so far.
okay, so we're solely CVS now?
We're CVS as well as Metro Health Pharmacy.
Yeah, perfect. I knew, I was aware of that, but I should never disrespect Metro, and they should be used primarily if they can, without any extra effort. If you could let me know with the CVSs that close, and that's a lot to ask for, just so we can have a handle on it, because the complaints are one things, and impact on individuals that choose not to complain. I
That
just
is
wouldn't
true.
mind seeing that.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and if it's a pain, I don't need it. But if it's something easy to be able to plot, I think it's be somewhat beneficial to looking at that and seeing what we can do to,
Yes, we will reach out to CVS and get that information for you, sir.
okay? Using more drugs or not?
I think that the trend is up.
The trend is up.
Yes.
And if the trend is up, it's more things we have to pay.
Yes, there are more prescription drugs being developed that tackle conditions that heretofore were not able to be managed. So prescription drugs are now managing conditions that before those drugs came to play might therefore result in someone's demise, but now people are living longer
Yeah.
and living with a condition because of the prescription drugs.
So it's just not inflationary. It's people getting older, people, more drugs available, and maybe even doctors choosing to prescribe more. So that inflationary number is the one we talk about moving up, but all those other things happen to increase our cost as well. Would that be accurate?
That's true. We do have provisions in place to protect against overutilization. Drug review is underway at CVS Caremark constantly. They do, of course, monitor the formulary and adjust that on a regular basis, moving out higher-cost drugs and moving in lower-cost drugs that do the same thing, or generics and that kind of thing. I can also offer that we utilize something called utilization management, where prior authorization is required to ensure that the prescription drug user has not, maybe they can go through step therapy before and rule out their use of lower-cost prescriptions or methods prior to getting approved for the higher-cost drug. Utilization review also puts into criteria in having to do with the certain condition before a higher cost drug can be prescribed. So those kinds of measures are in place with our prescription drug plan as well to try to taper down costs.
I didn't mean to make you do that, but I'm glad you did, because the details of this particular piece of legislation and the complications of trying to know every different kind of component to have the opportunity for our co-workers to get the best care, but also keep the costs down. I think Chelsea and the Oswald Group are a true partner in figuring out with our county employees to make this math work. Would that be accurate?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, and my last one, this one somebody gave me. You mentioned that the county contract will allow us to continue to participate in the Employee Health Coalition. Do we expect to realize savings from this?
Yes, sir. To the chair, the pricing improvement in the proposed contract is a savings improvement of 9.5%. That equates to approximately $1.9 million. And so that's a significant savings.
Thank you. I think we had a healthy dialogue about this, and I have a more full understanding. Second reading, suspension. What are we asking for? Director? Hello, Director.
We are asking for a
Second reading?
suspension of second reading. Yes.
Thank you. Any more questions? Hearing none. What was the request for second reading suspension? Do I have a motion? I have a
Second.
second. Thank you. There's been a motion and a second for second reading suspension. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ordinance number, resolution number 2025-0112 moves forward under second reading suspension. Thank you very much for the dialogue, and we will ask for any miscellaneous business. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your participation, my colleagues and committee members.